to the Hookup on Music with your host, Tony Bird.
Welcome, everybody. Hello, and welcome again to the Hookup on Music, episode 96. 4 more episodes for this month of December, and then we're going to start the new year at episode number 100 with big things. Tonight, we got big things. We got December to tackle here. We've got Christmas to tackle, really what's going to be thrown our way. I do know in 2 weeks, my main man Mike is going to be joining me again. The gentleman who has the amazing Chirp radio show. Always a great time, so look out for that. But as far as tonight goes, we've got a lot of things to cover. Recently, there was some really cool performances. Some which caused controversy and some kind of shocked me. And by shocking in a good way, like I wasn't expecting these to happen. Please tune into this tonight's or this or whenever you're listening to it at any time at the show, because I'm going to go a little bit more in depth with this. But for the point here is TV on the radio, they seem to be back and celebrating a little bit of an anniversary of an album, and they did a pretty good live performance here. Now, shame on YouTube for not letting us be able to play longer videos, to play longer songs so that we don't get dinged for copyright. That's just a little bit of a clip of a live performance of Staring at the Sun by TV on the radio, and it was recently on the late night scene, which is you're saying to yourself, you know, who in this late night game is having some of these great guests on to what's the word I'm looking for, to be on the singing. And honestly, it's Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon has had some really good guests of recent, and TV on the radio is one of them. Also, another really good one that I have seen is what's the word I'm looking for? Just before I came on, Body Count. They were just recently on Jimmy Fallon doing an amazing cover of Comfortably Numb, which we've talked about on here that David Gilmour was a part of. So, like, honestly, you can always catch some really good live performances when you are happen to tune in to any of these. Personally, I happen to watch them not live. I wish I could. Sometimes I'm passed out, sometimes I forget, sometimes it comes across the radar after. I do tune in live sometimes. But another recent one on Jimmy Kimmel that's been stirring up a little bit of a controversy is this band Knock Loose. Talk about a screaming track. I guess, honestly, this is a track with Poppy, okay? And the track, if you're curious to listen to it a little bit more, it's called Suffocate. I immediately jumped on the bandwagon and I checked it out. And then after checking it out, I realized that it was really heavy. And I've heard of Knock Loose before, and I've been turned on to them before into their music styles. Don't think crazy stuff out there. But that being said, I went ahead and listened a little bit deeper on that track, and it's a good song. But what was really surprising is people were in an uproar because it was played on Jimmy Kimmel. Maybe because it was heavy, and some people were like, Jimmy has had heavy people on here before. I think you just need to kind of get over this one a little bit. But you know how people are. Sometimes they just like to complain. Pretty good song in the heavy variety. Very interesting to hear this band and hear them work with Poppy, because honestly, again, who is Poppy? I'm not familiar with her. Doing a little bit more of a background. She is honestly, she's a musician. She's a YouTuber. her music style is, again, everything from pop and rock to heavy metal, electronic, industrial, experimental. Very, very awesomely interesting to have that wide variety and then work with Knock Loose. But again, I don't think it garnered people calling up the station and complaining. If you get an opportunity, MJ Linderman is Lenderman. I wanted to get this correct. Is starting to come onto the scene. Another new musician who is more Manning Fireworks is a really, really excellent album by him. She's Leaving You is an excellent little piece of songwriting that honestly, if you go and you check it out, I'm curious to hear what you think because honestly, MJ I think is going to be going some places in this category. Gonna dig deeper into this album because honestly, besides that track and another one that someone threw my way, haven't listened too much of to it. So definitely is interesting in what I'm hearing, and I'm definitely interested to hear a little bit more because we love good music around here as you do, and we should always support somebody new in this regard. I don't know if you want to say new in the regards. He's been coming out with albums since 2019, so technically about 5 years releasing albums. He's only 25. His music has also been described as a mixture of alt country, indie rock, classic rock. Um, I heard some really good indie stuff in there in the track She's Leaving You, but check it out. Let me know. Curious to hear what you think. Um, okay, so speaking of heavy, because I've been in the heavy regard recently. Also, before we go into our next topic here, they dropped the whole. I was the very first year. I'll be honest with everyone out there. I've never had a Spotify account until this year. So I've always felt like when people are like, "What's your song you play the most?" I didn't know. I wouldn't have known because I didn't have one. I honestly was just playing off of records and CDs and tapes and maybe even a few 8 tracks. But this year it wrapped and it said that the artist that I played the most, I was very impressed with myself but not surprised, the amazing Primus, which I played a lot of Primus and said there was I went on like a 6-day streak of playing Primus, which doesn't seem like a lot when you really think about how often I really would like to play Primus. But speaking about what I'd like to play, um, honestly, another band that just kind of and the only reason I kinda came across these guys is that they, are having a gig gonna be coming up towards in the Chicago area, which we're going to, get to here in a few minutes on May 3rd, which I'm hoping to be at. This is gonna be at the Radius Chicago. It's In Flames, a Swedish, heavy band that, honestly came out of left field for me. Was not expecting these guys to be as awesome and as enjoyable of a experience as really I have in digging into their albums. I started with Clayman, which was really, 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 really a good album to kind of get your feet wet with the whole entire what are they bringing to the table. I really like the track "Only for the Weak." I probably played that song quite a lot. Again, a little 6-second clip. It does not do you any justice. Go and check out the long length of the track, and you're not going to be disappointed at all. Because honestly, especially if you are into heavy metal, a band that has been together since 1990. It's like 1990 tone. So like in the 90s when you were listening, Tony, to Pantera and Machine Head, who they are playing with, and this is what brought me to the fold. Why weren't you listening to In Flames? It's a good question. And one I'm going to not only have to ask myself, but if I run into old ex-heavy metal friend fans that I had, well, I'll have to ask them too. What happened for the reason? Because the truth of the matter is I'm not mad, but I am a little disappointed because this would definitely have made for really a good band to mix in with some of the other heaviness that I was spinning at the time. But again, In Flames is definitely, and to see them live is going to be really, 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 exciting if I'm able to get out to the show because, their new material is, Foregone. Um, Buddy, Andrew pointed out to me that, each album kinda gives them a different sound, a different vibe, which I can understand that. When I was outside doing my final yard work of the year, it was kinda like a shuffle of In Flames, which kinda sounds kinda cool when you say that, and it's cool to look down and see, like, which album is this one off of? Which album is this off of? Um, this is, definitely, a heavy, I think, a slower, heavy, melodic, really cool album. For me, sometimes people, as they get older, are like wine, and a lot of people, think that In Flames are at getting to the peak of their powers, which you're saying to yourself, you know, to be this long into your career and to be at the peak of your powers makes it seem a little bit like, well, way back when I wanted to start a band in 1999, and if we were still playing right now, you're darn right you'd want to be at your peak of your powers. And In Flames is just honestly, as far as heavy goes, um, I really like what they're doing. Um, because for me, a long time, until really doing this show, which I will reach out and I always tell quite a few people how lucky I am that they are, in my life sharing music because I used to think heavy music was gone, but man, there are just a lot of good heavy bands out there. Sometimes for a lot of different things, you just gotta look a little bit. It's not gonna just the the Panteras who were, who are awesome, who were really huge back then, maybe there you got to look a little bit deeper for them. And honestly, I've been just very excited by what I have found by this band. And if you get an opportunity, check out some of their albums because I think if you're into something that's going to get you going a little bit, In Flames, the melodicy between his vocals to go from that to more of a hard edge screaming is definitely, I think, always something that I admire for definitely a band of In Flames caliber. But, speaking of calibers, I mean, I don't think we need to go very deep into the magic of the White Stripes, and to be fair, I'm really kinda shocked that we haven't talked about them a little bit more. So we thought we'd, really just get started at the very beginning. We're gonna get started at their debut album, which honestly does not get talked about, well, quite a lot like some of their other stuff. It's just a self-titled album called The White Stripes. Okay. 43 minutes. Okay. It was on the Sympathy for the Record Industry label, but it was produced by Jack White and Jim Diamond, which definitely cool when you think about 17 songs at 43 minutes, ranging from the very longest, which is interesting, at 3 minutes and 21 seconds. And, your lowest track is being, a minute and 30 with Slicker Drips. Very, very interesting. Also very cool is the very last track, I fought Piranhas, which honestly, I want to put that on a t-shirt and wear that around. But Jimmy the Exploder to start it off, and a cover of "Stop Breaking Down," a great Robert Johnson track. Okay, same with Sunhouse, doing Cannon, the White Stripes. Bob Dylan also getting a little bit of One More Cup of Coffee on here. I may talk about a little Bob Dylan tomorrow on that at the show or later or whenever you're listening to it. So please, 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 please tune into that at the show. It's good stuff. We're going to be talking about Denzel Washington, who is amazing in his own right. But back to this debut album, you know, two people, okay? Jack White on lead vocals, guitar, piano, and Meg White on drums, okay? Now, Johnny Walker, you may be like, who's Johnny Walker? He plays slide guitar on Susie Lee and I Fought the Piranhas. But the Soul Dad Brothers were an American rock band who are no longer around from 2006. He played with them. So again, Jack White is never too shabby to get some musicians in here to up the ante on what we're playing. But really kind of go in the forefront, what made me think of that debut album is his new track is just really just cooking. It's cooking up the charts, I think. Personally, it's um and honestly, every solo album he has released, there's at least, a handful of songs of really, 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 really. That's how I'm feeling is the track I was thinking of by Jack White. But again, every solo album. So like you think of yourself back to this original album with I Fought Piranhas, rounding out the album to where he ended up going. Um, I think he's just an amazing musician and definitely um, deserves all of the credit that he gets because he gets all of it, And speaking of some really good blues, especially blues that has been played, um, try it, tried and true, uh, since the 70s, since the debut album was released. And you're like, when was the debut? 1971. Bonnie Raitt's debut album. Bonnie Raitt's been making music since 1971 and just putting out really, really, really classic tracks on this debut album. Again, Bluebird. It's funny, we talked about Robert Johnson on that debut of the White Stripes. Little Robert Johnson on the debut of the Bonnie Raitt. Um, but what's cool is she is again, you can see coming into her own, and where is this going to lead? Junior Wells playing harmonica on this album. It's like, okay, she goes from that to 72's Give It Up. What ends up being is she starts out a little bit folky and then ends up really picking up the blues in the in the regard of what you know her to be. Okay, because by the time you get to like 1979's The Glow, she's doing I Thank You, an amazing cover, okay, which we are familiar with by Sam and Dave and ZZ Top. But working with members of Little Feat and Bill Payne, and also working with just great Waddy Wechtel on guitar, is just an amazing guitar player. He's worked with everyone from Brian Ferry and Michael Sweet to John Bon Jovi and James Taylor. Just a really, 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 really excellent musician. But that being said, Bonnie Raitt really, really, really smokes on the guitar. She's got a really great style. It's different to onto her own. Um, I heard a really great cover of hers, Right Down the Line, which just really honestly puts her styles and what she does to the forefront. She's also been a great session player and collaborator with amazing musicians like, Warren Zevon, Jackson Brown, who, if you get an opportunity, is playing for tomorrow. Tonight, or again, it's tough when you're listening to this, but they are playing the Chicago Theater with the great Mavis Staples, Jackson Brown. But Bonnie Raitt, it's been a while, been a long time. Go check it out. Check her out. I mean, she's still putting out quality work. Her last album, Just Like That, came out in 2022, and honestly, she is just still playing with a really, really, really great backing band. Okay, Ricky Fattar is on drums, who was in the Rudels. You may be familiar with that. He was also in the Beach Boys, which honestly, from with Blondie, we've talked about it here with Blondie Chaplin in the late early 70s. And honestly, go back and listen to some of that too. Really, really good stuff. But Bonnie Raitt is awesome, and we wanted to do a shout out to her because, well, when you can play guitar like she does and release music like that, you definitely should be talked about at least once a month. So, this is our 1 monthly to Bonnie Raitt. Next month, hopefully, we don't forget. We honor you, Bonnie Raitt. All right. Also, who are we talking about tonight? We're talking about a man who we brought up about within the last 30 episodes. His name is Teddy Swims. And this gentleman, every time I look or look down, he is, what's the word I'm looking for? Getting bigger in the regards of more good music. he is kind of like, to me, what I've heard so far, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Al Green, by the way, of 2000 and 20 24 or 25 if you are listening to this in just a couple months. But again, tracks are busting off of these releases. Bad Dreams, you hear this yet? If you have not sat down and listened to Bad Dreams, really, 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 really good stuff. Um, it's an excellent. It's interesting though, I will say, which is an interesting topic for a later time. When I look down, when putting this together, at the songwriters for this song, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, no, there's 7, and 7 songwriters to write this amazing song, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Because, well, it's just Lennon McCartney, and generally it was just either Lennon or McCartney. But that being said, Teddy Swims is somebody who is just blowing up the charts and is honestly getting a really good vibes, especially with his voice, and honestly is getting some really good accolades too. Being nominated for awards, which is huge. It is huge when you are what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, Trying to quote unquote make a name for yourself. He has been a supporting act on Greta Van Fleet's tours. He's been a supporting act on Zach Brown, which is cool because you can go ahead and fit yourself into these things. I mean, when you are nominated for the 2025 Brand New Artist Grammy, curious to see if he's going to pick that one up. It's always curious to see who picks up those awards. I don't know why I said awards like it was something like it was very serious, but curious to see, But check out Teddy Swims. Always love to give him a little bit of credit. Didn't bring up his last track when we were on here because it wasn't out yet. So, or his last new album. Digging into it though is going to be something that I think is going to be good when it comes out, because it's not coming out till 2025, January 28th to be a little bit more exact. We'll see what happens. I've tried everything but Therapy Part 2. Don't know why they don't give something sometimes a different title, why it's always going to be a sequel, but we will happen to see. If you have not yet checked out the documentary on HBO that was released this past Saturday, Yacht Rock, boy, did you have a surprise coming to you, because it was actually really, really good. Even if you listen to things like In Flames, you could sit down and watch Yacht Rock. Would be fun. It was fun. I was shocked that it was as good as it was, because honestly, learned things about some really good artists that you've listened to over and over, but didn't really ever give them that Yacht Rock title. Yes, that is the man from 40-Year-Old Virgin, Michael McDonald. And I'm just bringing that up because that was a great scene in that movie. But you should know him even more importantly from his amazing background vocals on Steely Dan's Asia album, all over the place on that. But joining the Doobie Brothers really took this band and transformed them into a more groovy unit, I think, and just a lot of great tracks. But going through this documentary, the way what's the word I'm looking for? The way it was put together and the way that you got to hear a little bit more deeper into the stories. And Michael McDonald on there was having a blast, which is great, because it sounded like, when this all first came out, the word term Yacht Rock, there was some kickback, like, I'm not going to like you calling me something Yacht Rock. It's like you're making fun of me. But again, it was always stated and spoken that there was no fun being made of. It was literally just the fact of a little bit of a short that was made, and it was to honor. Sometimes flattery can be given out in so many different ways. Christopher Cross, though, this gentleman was very, very interesting to hear about his career, because to be fair, that debut album with Sailing on it, Sailing Very interesting, cool gentleman though, because he sat in with Deep Purple way before any of this debut solo album business. But 79 was this debut album came out for him. And honestly, Ride Like the Wind is actually a really, really cool song. Um, honestly, and he dedicated to back around to Little Feat to Lowell George. It also go figure, Michael McDonald back in vocals. Michael McDonald found his way a lot in this documentary because he is smooth. And honestly, you could just imagine yourself doing anything musically with Michael McDonald and using that voice and it really coming up. Because honestly, he did some brand new stuff with Thundercat. Sounded amazing on this documentary. But back to Christopher Cross. I mean, you talk about an artist who just really what's the word I'm looking for? Puts puts himself out there with these songs on this debut album. All these artists on this Yacht Rock documentary, honestly, they all got at least a couple good songs. So, especially if you're looking to switch some stuff up, I ain't ashamed to admit it. Check out the documentary and let us know what you think because honestly, I love music documentaries, and I hope you do too, because they honestly can be informative, especially when you're just sitting back on a cold, cold night. Um, Christmas, oh, Christmas music. I don't know. I don't know about Christmas music. Do I like it? I don't know. Is it my favorite? Yeah, I don't know. It's not Halloween music. Sadly, it's in December and I'm still playing my Halloween playlist. I'm still playing Pet Cemetery by the Ramones. Should I be playing Deck the Halls, Silent Night, Let It Snow? I will say Feliz Navidad is a classic. Um, but it's like some of these songs are just so I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, just so like, it's not even the lyrics, okay? You can make fun of the lyrics all you want. It's maybe just the music itself. It's just bells jingling. I try my best though to enjoy it. I try not to make comments. I used to make lots of comments. He used to have to work a lot of places where you would hear these songs and the repeatingness of the songs. But doing a little research and looking around and finding this awesome chart if you're looking live on the YouTube version. If not, I'll read it to you. It's like, what is the most common Christmas songs in movies? The most common is Jingle Bells at 1,857. 1857 is 373. Wow. Crazy. Songs up by year and number of IMDb appearances. 373 appearances for Jingle Bells. 1,857 Christmas songs by oh my geez. Oh my lord. Oh man. When you start looking at the numbers that way, it's like, oh my head. I don't know. I don't know about all this, but I will say that there are lots of cool Christmas songs. We've talked about them here on this show, and don't worry, we're going to be bringing that back. Um, definitely classics that are out there. But we wish you a Merry Christmas. We do here wish you a Merry Christmas. We do wish you for to deck the halls and the joy to the world and all of that great stuff. It's just sometimes rather listen to some In Flames. I much rather listen to some, you know, really anything. I much rather listen to, if you're looking behind me, the Jaws theme on like a 24-hour loop. That would be more cool and exciting. But, overall tonight, what we wanted to do was bring you a wide variety of cool and awesome stuff like we always do on the Hookup on Music. Um, I think we've accomplished that. We talked from everything about Poppy and Knock Loose to, some really awesome In Flames, which I just can't get them out of my head. And, we listened to Bonnie Raitt and the White Stripes debut and Yacht Rock. And honestly, sharing this time with you every single week is just something that really makes everything else go. As it says, it makes the holiday spirit exactly what it is, which is honestly a time to share, a time to care, a time to play awesome music, even if it is in the Christmas variety. Because honestly, I've always lately been on a big kick, whatever music that you enjoy, if it makes you chill and have a good time, I think that's what we're looking for here at the Hookup on Music. And we, again, as always, appreciate you tuning in. As stated before, please tune into At the Show. Going to be talking about the great Denzel Washington. Going to have some music talk mixed into there. Go back and check out the most recent It's Getting Drafty, where they talked about awful Chicago football coaches, baseball coaches, basketball coaches. They're all awful. There was some missing, which I'll have to take up with the host at a later date. But again, everyone out there, please, 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 please enjoy your holiday season. Please check out the website, sadisticpenguinstudios.com. You can go back and dig into some of those Halloween classics I was talking about if you are like me and wish it was still like Halloween. But until next time, everyone out there, my name is Tony. This is the Hookup on Music, and I can't say it enough how much we appreciate every single week, how much you tune in and listen. So thank you. Talk to you soon, everyone out there. Take care.
Thank you for listening. Please look out for the audio version wherever you jam. Thank you for listening. Please look out for the audio version wherever you jam.